Hey guys, this is Rachel Feldman. I am so completely excited to be here again with my good friend, Dr. Louise Gittleman. Now, we have spoken before about so many topics, from gut health to the benefits of fats in your body and how important they are for hormones and brain health. But today we are talking about something that is so dear to my heart, and I've talked to you actually about this before, which is how I found Dr. Louise Gittleman. I will never forget standing in one of my favorite health food stores and seeing the Fat Flush Plan. This was a New York Times bestseller. It was a revolutionary weight loss plan that I have told you about before, because what it did is it showed a different way of eating, a different way of losing weight. It was a weight loss plan, but it also showed you how to not only burn fat, but also how to detoxify the liver. And so what Dr. Ann has done is she has actually brought this back to life, so to speak. She has updated this with brand new information, and so I get to talk to Dr. Louise Gittleman today about what are the new updates, why she updated this, and if there's any new information that we can get and where we can actually get a copy of this. So we have a lot to cover today. So without further ado, I am going to introduce the amazing and the one and only Dr. Louise Gittleman.
Hi, Rachel. Thank you for such a lovely introduction.
It is so amazing to have you here, as always. So can you first tell our audience, if they don't know you already, a little about what you specialize in and about the Fat Flush Plan and why this book was so revolutionary 15 years ago, but why it has sustained time and that longevity of this book.
Thank you for mentioning all that. And what I would like to say is that I have clinical training with a real focus on functional and integrative medicine. So I have been a nutritionist who has really been on the front lines of nutrition, and for years, 20, 30 years plus, I have really challenged conventional dietary wisdom. That came very early in my career in the early 80s when I was the director of nutrition at the Pritikin Center, which was the forerunner of the low-fat, high-complex carbohydrate diet model. And I wrote a book after my experience which showed that the problem that we were facing, this was back in the 80s, was not that we were eating too many carbohydrates, but that we were not eating enough fats, and the carbohydrates we were focusing on were the ones that were feeding yeast and fungus and disease and autoimmunity and so on and so forth. So what I did back then was write a book which was considered absolutely revolutionary. How dare I question, that low-fat, no-fat mentality. So I was really the first out of the gate. And, when you're the first out of the gate, as I'm sure you can appreciate, the rest of the world is not quite ready. Well, they're ready now, which is the reason that I had to update my Fat Flush Plan and add better fats, more fat-flushing fats, those that keep you thinner, and those that really tonify the liver, which I discovered early on is the real key to weight loss, because it's a fat-burning organ, and it's the key to hormonal health and to autoimmunity. And if you don't love your liver, it's not going to behave itself, and you will have all kinds of problems that you never imagined that are related to a poor functioning liver. And then I discovered that it's not just the liver, but it's its method of detoxification, which is the bile, so that if you don't have your gallbladder or poor quality bile, you will never lose weight. You will be allergic the rest of your life. You will have hormones that are out of whack. You won't be able to lose weight, and you'll have a whole host of autoimmune challenges. So all of that is in the new Fat Flush, which I'm delighted that we're bringing out in November, which is next month.
And, and I was discussing this with you even before we started. I remember reading this book and thinking, this is revolutionary, because at that time, and I remember getting this book, I'm 41 now, and at the height of my health problems, all the things you just discussed, except I actually had poor assimilation. So it was more that I couldn't gain weight. I couldn't hold the nutrients. But what did that come down to? My liver, autoimmune, all of those issues, and of course, the lovely liver. There weren't at that time a lot of detoxification programs. And I remember reading your book and thinking, wow, this is profound. Here is this person that's talking about what you really need to eat and how you need to honor your body, the fiber, the essential nutrients. So can you talk to me about how this book really helped to break the ground for detoxification and these detoxes and cleanses that came thereafter, and eventually, thank goodness, because it opened the eyes to many people realizing that this was not this curse word, so to speak, or drinking, green juices all day. This was about something that happens daily, and that we really do need to honor the body in this way.
Well, you just answered the question beautifully. What I discovered is that detox is no longer a seasonal event. Forget that. We are living in such a challenging environment with 15,000 chemicals introduced into the environment daily. That's 15,000. That you have to be detoxing on a daily basis, not seasonally, to really get the full benefit of health that we so deserve. So I created a routine that allows your body in a very delicious, wholesome way, using whole foods, using certain nutrients, using certain supplements to detoxify primarily your liver, your bile, if you don't have a gallbladder, or if you do, your gallbladder, but primarily the bile, which is the liver's key detox method, as well as the lymph and the GI tract. And if you don't focus on those things, then you will be losing the effect of all of the ways in which the liver is sustaining you, because we have to remember that the liver is the hardest working number one organ of your body. It is a fat burning organ. It is the metabolizing organ that is detoxing all of the hormones, all of the prescription drugs, the over-the-counter drugs, the pharmaceuticals. Even what you eat is what the liver will be detoxifying and metabolizing. It performs probably, Rachel, 500 different essential functions, and it regulates nearly 50,000 enzymes, and it produces more than 13,000 chemicals. They're crucial chemicals. These are healing chemicals. If your liver is shot, then so are you. So in my daily routine, we open up the phase 1 and phase 2 detox pathways, and I give you foods that are hypoallergenic that mostly everybody can tolerate, whether you're vegan, whether you're paleo, whether you're ketogenic, whether you're raw, or whether you're primal. So this is a program that's good for everybody, regardless of what program you're doing. And I'm also very keen on the lymph, because I find that no other program, save this one, really targets the lymph, which is your body's garbage collection system. So it's gentle exercise when you're detoxing, because the body is using up so many valuable antioxidants, and it's gentle bouncing, or it's moving the lymph in such a way so that everything becomes activated within at least 20 to 30 minutes. And I find it also important for individuals to make sure that they're eating enough fiber, as well as certain other nutrients, which will help the liver metabolize hormones and break them down into non-toxic metabolites. So if you're interested in your hormones because you're PMS, you're perimenopause, or you're menopause, you have to look to the liver. Forget about all this hormone, even bioidentical hormone therapy. It goes to the liver. That's your number one godsend. That's your number one savior. And so the liver you have to start to love. So we need to love our livers even more.
And I want to bring up a key point that maybe some people who are just hearing this for the first time, maybe they never saw this book, or maybe they have followed you later, is that weight loss can, this isn't just a weight loss book. I think that's a really important thing to understand. Like, you can have a fatty liver and be a thin person. You can have sugar imbalances, have a toxic liver, a toxic lymphatic system, a body that needs this phase 1 And phase 2, which I love that you have, phase 1, 2 weeks of detoxing and flushing that fat. Phase 2, that ongoing fat flush. And phase 3, the integration of this healthy eating lifestyle plan. So I think really understanding that this isn't just a weight loss plan. This is, hey, wake up. We are living in a world where we are toxic bound daily.
We're toxic bound daily, and the only way to fight the toxins is to be very proactive. Whether it's the non-toxic, non-GMO, non-irradiated, fat-flushing herbs and spices that are in the program, your quality proteins, whether it's the fat-flushing fats that are also slimming fats that help your body to get rid of the poor hormones, the bad hormones, or whether it's the friendly fruits that are very low in fructose, because we're finding that regardless if you're thin or heavy, there's a lot of fatty liver. And I'm a believer that even too much fruit or fruit juice, if your body is toxic, cannot be assimilated properly and may not be the perfect food until you get rid of the fungus and yeast, because fruit will feed the critters and the bugs. And over 90% of my followers all have some kind of condition because of too many antibiotics, too many steroid drugs, or the birth control pill. So it lowers those elements, and it does so in a way that we now find is healthful because the results have been extraordinary, far beyond weight loss. People lose the fatty liver, their elevated liver enzymes come down. We have found that type 2 diabetes is controlled, blood pressure is regulated, as well as skin, hair, and nails, and hormones. So it has far-reaching effects that are not just physiological, beyond weight loss, but psychological, emotional, and spiritual. Because once you start cleaning deeply the right way, this is not just a green juice diet, this is not just a green smoothie program. You start giving your body whole foods. Then your spirit is cleansed so that you can house all these wonderful things that you need to do, and it sets the stage for really clearing other areas of your life. I mean, people stop with toxic relationships, they change their jobs, they get a divorce if that's what they should be doing, and they go on to do what they need to do in life. So you need these tools because you've got to become an invincible warrior in this day and age, an invincible warrior for health and healing.
I mean, I think when, in Chinese medicine, I always think about the different emotions that are associated. When we think of liver, that's anger. When we think of gallbladder, it's resentment. So I love that you took us through each organ, because every organ, it's not just I'm detoxing the liver. It's that you took us through the lymphatic system, the garbage can, the kidneys, So this is a really whole system program, whole body program. So can you share with us, what were the most profound insights that made you say, okay, Anne, I've got to rebirth this. I've got to share with my community and with the world, and bring my new insights into the book. What was that moment that you said, okay, that's what I just have to do?
Well, that's a good question. I think the moment must have come when I realized that half of my clients that I was working with didn't have a gallbladder. And I started asking questions and realized that if you don't have a gallbladder, then you are not going to be able to metabolize fat, and then that's going to lead to problems with the thyroid. What I found out is that there's a dramatic connection between taking out your gallbladder and hypothyroidism that nobody is looking at. And I basically stumbled across this. So I thought to myself, perhaps it's not just the women, because it's so prevalent among so many women that are having their gallbladders out, that there's a problem with hormone responses, problems with the thyroid, inability to lose weight, accelerated aging. But maybe, just maybe, many of us that do have our gallbladders have problems with our bile production, which is so important in terms of metabolizing fats and detoxifying all the hormones, because it's the excretory fluid that your body uses to get rid of these toxins. So I've reformatted the program to support gallbladder function, because half the world doesn't have a gallbladder, and if they don't, they got stones that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
I formulated the program to have free-flowing bile so that it's thinned, it's decongested, so that you can break down hormones, and you'll never have a problem with your thyroid, which is, of course, very
Huge.
epidemic.
Yeah.
And I reformulated the program with the better fats that will support metabolism and support the usage of essential fatty acids. And that's where new nutrients come into play. One in particular that I created called BioBuilder, which will get rid of fatty liver, which will help your immune system, which will make sure that your thyroid is functioning, will break down fats, get rid of cellulite. And then the other thing that's so important is it will help you in terms of detoxification. So it's the bile, it's the liver, it's the lymph, and it's the lack of a gallbladder that made me really realize time to update. And of course, I wanted to add some of the newer fats. Everybody loves coconut oil. I wanted to give that as an option. Everybody loves avocado. It's a high source of glutathione. It's got happy hormones. It'll make happy hormones. That's part of the program. I wanted to include beets because they're so important in cleaning your liver.
3 of my favorite foods.
Isn't this exciting? Beets.
Love it.
And I even included sunflower lecithin because that will thin the bile. So all of those things are now part of the program, which makes it much more conducive to everybody out there, you know, that is using these elements in their diet already. So I think people will find it very intriguing. We also included a new Kickstart, which is a 3-day ultra fat flush tune-up. Say that 3 times fast. And that is a really good way for people to kind of get their systems geared for cleaning up, whether that's post-holiday, pre-holiday, or whatever. And we've been getting spectacular results with that. We'll be featured in Women's World magazine because of this program, and they think it's worthy of, I think, a cover article is what they just told me. So, you know, we're getting wonderful results. And the exciting thing is that when the program came out, Rachel, it was 15 years ago. Let's see, we went 2001. Is that 15 years? Yeah, ish. 15 plus years. But we have people that are constantly coming back to the program saying nothing helped like Fat Flush, so we're coming back. So we want to welcome those people home with wide open arms and more options for them so that they don't feel deprived. We want them to have more slow cooker recipes, crunchy snacks, gluten-free additions, grain-free additions, healthy desserts, nourishing soups, and we got it all in this new program.
And I mean, even just looking at the book, I mean, the fact that you brought in support for what people are really struggling with these days, which is everything you and I have talked about. Gut health, so there's the fat flush bone broth. There are the spices that you talk about constantly to support the bile flow. You know, those fruits and vegetables you just talked to, the healthy, quality, good proteins that we need for the amino acids to rebuild. You know, can you kind of walk us through, before we even close out, what is that typical day for a fat flusher?
So a fat flusher must begin the day with lemon and water. And I don't like limes as much as lemons because they don't seem to have that same therapeutic effect. And that's important to thin the bile, tone the kidneys and the liver. So the juice of half a lemon in water, take it with a straw, protect the enamel of your teeth, if you will. That's how we start the day. Throughout the day, we drink this potion, which is one of the keys to the program. It is the cran water. It's the Fat Flush original water. And we drink that throughout the day because the lowly cran is sky high in antioxidants, number 1. But it targets the lymph. So that when you're on the program, you're getting rid of all these wastes that are located in your soft tissues and in the lymphatic system. It digests them with 4 digestive acids that are part of the cran. And it seems to balance pH for many people. So you're drinking that all through the day, which is the reason that cellulite does a disappearing act on our program after 2, maybe 3.5, 4 weeks. Usually 2 weeks if you're good. So you've got those cleansing beverages. 1 cup of coffee a day. I want people to put a little bit of coconut oil in the coffee now. Or if they prefer, we could use some dandelion tea, and we'll have dandy tea with maybe a tablespoon of coconut oil. Then you've got your morning fat flush smoothie. Now that is our newest creation, which includes all kinds of elements that thin the bile, purify the system with a certain type of green, not too much kale, not too much spinach. We don't want a lot of oxalic acid. I was very clear about the kinds of greens you should use. And then we give you some other little tidbits in there, a little fiber, whether that's chia or hemp, or maybe even flax. So you have that. If you'd like to have eggs, it's okay. But if you've got a gallbladder problem, I take you off of eggs. Gallbladder, no eggs, because eggs are the #1 allergy-producing food for gallstones in the gallbladder, which was proven way back in the 1960s before any of your audience was even a twinkle in anybody's eye. All right. So then we go on to, there are a couple of fruits a day. They're low fructose, and I'm a real believer in low fructose. I think fruits are a perfect food, but not until
you cleanse those pathogens.
Of the fungus,
and the fungus.
Pathogens, and the bugs, and the virus, and the parasites, because they all feed on fruit, guys. And yes, the fruit sugar, I don't care what anybody is saying. The fruit sugar will feed that. I don't care how healthy that fruit could be, should be, and typically is.
And will keep you sick. And we'll just keep this constant vicious cycle of sickness, feeding, gallstones, everything.
It may take 4 to 8 weeks to clear the system. It used to take, with my clients way back in the day, 2 to 3 weeks, and I'd have people out the door. Well, it now takes 4 to 8 weeks. So look at this for a good 2 months, but you've got a kickstart, you've got phase 1, a metabolic reset, a lifestyle, and you've got some great recipes that we've put together that are basically your vegetables, your slow cooker recipes, your casseroles, your one meal soups. I mean, we've got about just everything with really interesting combinations and new gluten-free grains that I discovered that I think people are really going to enjoy. So I'm very excited about this. We're working on a cookbook, a journal. We're updating Fat Flush Foods, the 75 most important fat flushing foods in the world. And I think it's a revolution whose time has come because we need to clean out, especially from this election. regardless of what side of the fence you're on, there's a lot of toxicity out there, and I think we really need to have a fresh start and a clean slate come the holidays and come the beginning of the year.
And I think just in general, I mean, you pulled out a statistic, and another one that I always say is, compared to the 1950s, we have 600% more cars on the road. That doesn't even equate the computers, the phones, the pollution, I mean, we are just in a toxic world. We can't make comparisons when we say, well, this, or my children didn't have this at this time. It's like, we have to talk about today, and this has to be a daily reprieve. If we want to be healthy, and you even said it, we have to empower ourselves as health warriors in this day and age, and wake up to the fact that taking care of our lymphatic system and our liver and looking at our bodies with open, wide eyes is what you're really talking about in this book.
Yes, I think that's it, because we have new nightmares of a toxic perimenopause, a toxic PMS, toxic menopause, and those are natural transitions of life. They're not supposed to be so toxic and so awful and so life-altering, and that's because of all of the xenoestrogens that are in the environment, and I feel I need to protect people early on from that, which is why you look to the liver, and that's why you've got to make yourself this invincible goddess, as it were, because these are not going to go away, but you have to become strong so that you don't absorb, so that you don't assimilate, and that you detoxify. And if you have a metabolic inability to detoxify because of a genetic variation that you may have, all the more reason you need fat flush.
And these days, a lot of people are doing nutrigenomics or getting their genetic testing and know. And so we are in the know which is even more reason to wake up and get proactive. So I just want to thank you. I just want to remind everyone to find this book. You can go to AnnLouise.com. It's AnnLouise.com. You can pre-order it on Amazon right now. Is that correct, Ann?
Yes, and if you pre-order and then go to my site, we will give you a little free gift bundle as a thank you from me.
So is there anything I missed, Dr. Ann? Anything?
I think you did a wonderful, wonderful job. And we need to hire you as a promotion person and as a publicist. In a New York Minute, I'm going to hire you. This was excellent.
Well,
no, I mean, I truly believe that what you said was wonderful, Rachel. I mean, and you certainly, you've got it. And I was so pleased when my good friend Dr. Mark Hyman said that Fat Flush revolutionized the detox and dieting concept, and we're all standing on the shoulders of the Fat Flush phenomenon.
I mean,
and quite frankly, I'm so pleased that when it first came out, it was new news. Now everybody's on a cleanse, but they're not doing it the right way, which is the reason I had to rewrite and make a new Fat Flush plan. So I thank you so very much.
Well, and I just want to reiterate this even before we close, because you just brought up something that is so important. I am seeing not just people who have their gallbladder removed, but people who are struggling with that digestive issues, those bloating. And when I interviewed you before and we talked about how pivotal this digestion process is, it's not just about taking another probiotic. You have brought forth that information that everyone needs to know, which is that people need to wake up to this bile flow process. And so when we are talking about, hey, I need to lose weight, this isn't just about going on a diet. This is the combination. And so you've talked about it. This is the liver, the gallbladder, the bile flow, and you've combined all of this knowledge in this book. And so you're combining everything, which is why I love you and adore the work that you do, because you never stop. You say, this is very important. Okay, I'm not going to stop because I'm sick and tired of people being sick and tired out there. So I just want people to hear that this is not, people are not going to be able to lose weight or get healthy if they do not focus on these components.
I think you said it very well.
Well,
and it's very true. And I think in 2017, you'll be seeing that the bile, the importance of the bile, it's not a very sexy term, I know, but it will become the new probiotics. That's how important a bile supplement is. Bitters are. Certain
raw apple cider vinegar,
it is just
beet
as
juice.
important as anything else that you do, because if your bile isn't working properly, you will not be absorbing your vitamins A, D, E, and K. You'll have problems with your skin, hair, and nails. You will have white hair. You will have chalky stools. You will have nausea. It is so vitally important that I felt that aspect was really what propelled me into doing this whole new rewrite. I sat down, I rewrote the book in 3 months, which was a real labor of love, let me tell you. But thankfully, it is now available for pre-order, and I would invite any of your community to buy the book, then join our Fat Flush Nation, which is on Facebook. I'm on there frequently answering questions, because people need help. This is a time in our lives that we're faced with so many assaults,
so many sicknesses,
unprecedented.
Yeah.
So it's toxic soup, and we're all in this together.
Thank you, Dr. Ann Louise Gittleman. Just remember, family, folks, anybody who is listening to this, if you have questions, you can go right to AnnLouise.com. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can take action. You can be empowered. The ball is in your court. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Rachel Feldman and Dr. Ann Louise Gittleman. Have an amazing day. Thank you, Dr. Ann Louise Gittleman, for taking time out of your day to be with us.
My pleasure, Rachel Feldman.
All right, guys, take it easy and have an amazing day, and pre-order or order We are looking forward to you being as healthy as you can be in this day and age. Take it easy. Bye, guys.